one of the biggest problems is, of course, that once you get beyond the first couple of thousand words, and after, say, 4,000 or 5,000 words, then all the words that you don't know, all the new words, are very low frequency. That's the way the language operates. We have a core vocabulary of very common, very frequent items. Then we have literally hundreds of thousands of words, all of which are, relatively speaking, infrequent, rare. So that's the first question. Do we just teach whatever words happen to come up, or can we organize vocabulary teaching and have some sort of principle at that level? Similar problems occur with grammar. At this level, the grammar loses this sense of progression which we had at the lower levels. So when we start learning grammar, or when we start teaching grammar to our students, we start with the present tense, then we go to the past tense, then we go to the future tense, then we may go to some more complex tenses like the present perfect and the past perfect and so on. And we go from simple structures with subjects and verbs and objects into more complex connections between clauses and building sentences and so on. But we lose that sense of progression. And if you look at upper, intermediate, and advanced level courses, you could be forgiven for getting the impression that the grammar becomes what I call a rag bag, a mixed bag of items which we just throw in because they seem to be difficult or because they seem a little bit arcane, that is, unusual, rare, fascinating, but in some way we feel they're too difficult to do at the lower levels. So again there, can we actually bring some sense of usefulness into the grammar at this level? The next point, which belongs to both grammar and vocabulary and results from the problem at this level, is that assessment targets become more difficult to distinguish the higher we go up the scales, up the levels. So again, when you're moving from A1 to A2 or A2 to B1, the targets for assessment, the things that we can test you on, are quite clear and quite straightforward. This becomes more difficult as you move up into the advanced level. So if we take, for example, something like fluency in the Common European Framework, at the B2 level, we expect our students to be fluent. At the higher levels, C1 and C2, we expect them to be very fluent or extremely fluent. And of course, the problem is that the difference is somewhat vague. And if you look at the specifications for assessment at different levels in different assessment systems, the targets become less well defined. And this is borne out in the literature. Two references there, one by Jim Milton in 2009 and a more recent study by Paula Buttery and Andrew Keynes in 2012, who were looking at what they called opportunity for use during assessment, in particular, for example, during an oral examination or even a written examination. Are our students getting enough opportunities to show off, to demonstrate exactly how much English they do know? So again, if you are a lower level learner, you can probably display a lot of what you know during an examination. If you are an advanced level learner, you may not be getting enough opportunities and use to really show off your talents and to show that you are at that level. So these are some of the problems that we have to address when we move up the level.